Hello friends, my name is Praveen Chand. I have secured 64th rank in this year UPSC Civil Services examination. My optional subject is mathematics. In this video, I want to share with you my strategy and preparation approach for mathematics optional. Why I have chosen mathematics as my optional? There are multiple reasons for that. I graduated from IIT Patna, and during my graduation we had many mathematics subjects during my graduation. So certain subjects like calculus, linear algebra were already covered during my graduation. So I was familiar with the subject and it was not new to me. Second thing, since my class 10th, I had strong liking towards the mathematics, the formulas, the kind of symbols that mathematics use. I used to get intrigued by the mathematics. Mathematics used to give me a lot of freedom to innovate. I used to think mathematics is like an art. You can manipulate something, you can change, and you can bring something of your own to the problem. So I have that liking towards the mathematics during my childhood. Third, while I was working, I worked in a software industry for almost 3 years. I found that mathematics is very highly used nowadays. Even in my work, I have used mathematics multiple times in my programming, and now in the area of artificial intelligence and machine learning, mathematics is the core of all these areas. So I found that having a mathematics optional might give me certain advantage when I become civil servant and when I become an IAS officer. I can contribute something extra to the governance of this country by using my technical expertise in the mathematics and as a software engineer. So because of these reasons, I have chosen mathematics. I did not just choose mathematics just because it is an highest scoring optional, one of the highest scoring optional. Not because of that. I have chosen my optional only because I have strong liking towards it. So I suggest you guys, if you are really interested about mathematics, then no one can stop you. It is very interesting optional. It is very relaxing optional, because when you keep on reading humanities, after a certain point of the time, you will also get saturated. So mathematics gives you such certain vent to explore something else, because mathematics and general studies do not have any common syllabus. It is completely different. So mathematics always used to give me that pleasure of doing something extra, feeling something privileged by taking some different optional. Second, mathematics also have pros and cons. I told you what are the pros. It is one of the highest scoring optional. If your answer is correct in the mathematics, you can be certain that you get good marks in the mathematics optional. However, one of the drawbacks of mathematics is it has a huge syllabus. Almost 13 to 15 subjects are there in the mathematics, and there are sub concepts as well. And studying the whole optional might take anything between the 10 to 12 months in average. So when you prepare heavily for mathematics, sometimes your general studies might get affected. For example, in my first attempt, I got less marks in general studies because I was focusing more on mathematics, and I changed the strategy and I focused more on general studies, and I got less marks in mathematics in my second attempt. So second attempt I got 512 rank, but my mathematics score was only 263. Had I got good mathematics score, I would have got very good rank in my second attempt itself. In the third attempt, I tried to balance both mathematics and general studies somehow by giving 50-50 per time to each of these, and now I am able to get 342 marks in mathematics. According to me, I think this is the second highest score this time in mathematics. I got 175 out of 250 in paper 1 and 167 out of 250 in paper 2. So and finally I am able to get 342 marks, and that has heavily contributed towards my 64th rank this year. So despite of the drawbacks, always mathematics gives certain hope that preparing with the mathematics gives you certain leverage, that I can say certainly. But since it does not have any common elements with the general studies, you might not have that advantage which other options such as public administration, political science or sociology have. But do not worry, if you have interest in mathematics or any optional, just go for that. Don't take optional just because many people are taking. Don't take optional because this is highest scoring. Take optional if it is really interest you and you can do that with heart, then definitely take that optional. Coming to the preparation aspect of the mathematics, how I went about it. First, my basic rule was one book for one subject. I never referred to multiple books for one subject. For example, if there is a subject called modern algebra, I just refer to single book, Contemporary Concepts of Modern Algebra by Joseph Gallian. I just refer to that book, and I read it multiple times, because referring to multiple books might be good for academic and research purposes, but in the examination where we have to answer the questions, where we have to get the marks, we have to maintain the clarity, and we have to take the time into consideration. If you keep on reading, keep on researching multiple topics, you might not finish the syllabus, and you might overdo the things which is not required. You should do what the syllabus and what the examination demands, because ultimately we have to clear the examination. It's not about just gaining the knowledge. Ultimately we have to come out of the examination with the flying colors. So stick to one book per one subject and read that book repeatedly. Again, my thumb rule in this regard is do any book 3 times, so that you get clarity and your revision is advocate. While doing mathematics, I always used to carry my pen and paper, because mathematics cannot be done just by reading. Mathematics can only be done by mind as well as carrying your pen and paper. So keep practicing mathematics with the pen and paper. Don't ever think that you can just read the theorem, you can just read the problem by eyes. It will never happen. It happened with me. Certain chapters I just glanced through them, I did not practice, and in the final examination I was not able to recall them. So ultimately I had to do many calculation mistakes, and in my second attempt, as I said, I got only 263. But this time I practiced everything with the pen and paper. I did not leave any subject, and I revised them, and I got 342 marks. So practice makes a lot of difference in mathematics. Unlike any humanities, mathematics requires a lot of practice, and you should do that. And in each subject you should always read theory first, and if there is a theorem, try to derive the theorem. Don't think the statement or just a formula will be enough. For example, if there is a formula in calculus, or if there is a formula in complex analysis, try to derive the formula, how it has come. Try to derive each step, because there is a pleasure in doing mathematics. The pleasure is from deriving the concepts, deriving the theorems. From that you get certain inner feeling of satisfaction. Certain joy is there in proving the theorems. So experience that joy. Don't think that the statements are enough or formulas are enough. No, I think you should prepare little bit deeply in mathematics. That gives you leverage over other candidates. That gives you higher computational edge, because since 2016 the kind of questions that are being asked in mathematics are completely different as compared to earlier papers. Now they are asking proofs, now they are asking derivations, and the questions are little bit tricky. Such kind of questions can be solved when you do in and out of the theory, in and out of the derivations, and solve the problems, every problem with advocate practice. So I used to follow that. I used to read each and every chapter. I used to try to derive the theorems. I used to derive the formulas myself. I used to practice the problems, and whatever the important theorems, important formulas, important problems I used to find, I used to make them in separate note. So by the end of my preparation, I have a note of all the important formulae, all the important theorems and problems, which I used to revise that multiple times. So while preparing, keep this in a mind. Don't think that mathematics can be just done and no note making is required. If you think that, it is wrong. Mathematics certainly requires note making, because you have to remember and you have to reproduce in the examination ultimately. You may be very intelligent, you might have very strong IQ, but if you are not able to recall a particular problem or particular theorem in the examination, it is again waste of your time and energy. So try to revise the concepts always, and try to keep the note and try to revise them from that. Additionally, after completing each subject, what I used to do was, I used to pick up the previous year questions of mathematics optional. For example, after completing linear algebra, I used to pick up all the previous year mathematics questions from the linear algebra. Especially I used to focus on the last 20 years, and I used to solve each and every problem, and in a fair copy. So I have a notebook where all the linear algebra questions are in certain notebook, last 20 years questions. So what it does to you is, first after reading from the textbook and solving the concept, if you practice the UPSC questions, first you will understand what level, what standard that UPSC is asking. Second, by doing this practice, you will understand that certain mistakes you are committing, and you might learn from them, and you might not commit those mistakes again in the final examination. Third, in the UPSC mathematics, certain theorems and certain problems are always repeated. So luckily, if that question comes or reappears in the paper again, you will get good marks, and you won't take time to solve that problem, because you have already done that, and it will be very easy for you finally. So after completing the textbook, always again go back to the previous year UPSC questions and try to finish them all before moving to other subject. Third aspect is prelims. When the prelims approaches, usually people stop reading their optional subject, especially 3 months before the prelims. But mathematics requires consistency and perseverance. If you lose focus and if you lose touch in the mathematics, you always feel that it is a new subject. Even you won't be able to solve basic problems. So to restrain from that, even during the prelims, try to give at least 1 hour to the mathematics. Maybe you pick up the easier subjects, pick up easier problems, and try to do them, and try to revise the notes whatever you made, try to revise the formulas you made even during the prelims. It will help you to keep the touch with the mathematics as a subject, so that after the prelims you can again come back to the full-fledged mathematics preparation, and it won't take much time. Especially it occurred to me in the first attempt where I left the mathematics 2 months or 3 months before the prelims, and when I restarted it, it again took me almost 1 month time to come to the full flow. So had I been doing the mathematics, or had I revised the mathematics even during the prelims, I would have come to the full flow just after the prelims, and I would have got very good marks. But that did not happen because I lost the flow a little bit. So that's why I am cautioning you, don't lose the flow and don't lose the focus in mathematics. Keep the practice, even half an hour or 1 hour every day just before the prelims also. It is absolutely fine, and it will do wonders for you. Second, after the mains, because after the mains we have usually 3 to 3.5 months time, and mathematics syllabus is huge. So many aspirants find it difficult to complete the syllabus again. So how to handle this? First thing, you should always complete mathematics syllabus before the prelims, especially at least 60 to 70% syllabus should be done before the prelims. Secondly, after the prelims, take 1 and 2 months, first 2 months for completing the syllabus again, first revision. Do all the textbook again, do the previous year questions again during that 2 months period. In the next 1.5 and 2 months period, you again revise the mathematics at least 2 to 3 times, so that as the exam approaches, you will be done with at least 3 revisions. And believe me, I followed exactly this time, and just before the examination, I was able to revise all my problems and all the important questions that were asked in the UPSC civil services, even just day before the examination. And when I went to the examination, I just wrote whatever they asked, and I did not make any calculation mistakes because I was fully prepared, I was focused, and I did not lose touch with the mathematics. That is why, because I got 175 marks in the paper 1, my correct attempt was 250 out of 250, but due to the scaling factor I got 175. Similarly, in my paper 2, my correct attempt was around 190, and I got 167 marks finally after the scaling. So follow the simple approach, keep the books to the minimum level, keep practicing, keep looking for the UPSC previous year question papers, and mathematics can be handled very easily. It is not a difficult subject. With the sufficient practice, with the sufficient passion and sufficient concept building, mathematics will become very easy. And I used to relish doing the mathematics. After studying so much of general studies, so much of answer writing practice in general studies, in SI, ethics and all, when I come back to my mathematics, it always used to reignite me, and it used to give me new energy every day. And one suggestion I give to you is, maybe you can practice the mathematics in the morning off, because usually in the early morning we are fresh and our mind works better. If you work mathematics during that particular time, so you might get new ideas, and you will be able to do the concepts and problems very easily. But if you keep the mathematics to the later part of the day, since you will be studying the whole day some other general studies or answer writing practice, you will be little bit tired. So after doing the mathematics when you're tired might not be a good idea. So I used to keep my mathematics to the first half of the day. In the second half, I used to read the general studies. Again, before sleeping, I just used to revise whatever the formula or new concepts that I have done in the mathematics, and I used to sleep after revising that. So this is one of the practical suggestions that I found it was helpful for me, and you might also implement that if you find it useful. When you take mathematics optional, the interview also matters, because in the interview some questions might be asked from the mathematics. For example, in my interview they asked me about what is number theory, how number theory can be useful in cyber security, and how number theory is related with the cryptocurrency, and how artificial intelligence and number theory and modern algebra are linked. These kind of questions were asked in the interview. So while preparing mathematics, just keep some practical aspects in mind, how certain theories or certain concepts can be used in real life. For example, our linear programming problem can be used to solve certain governance problems such as queue, the heavy queues we have in the bus stops or some public distribution system, etc. Similarly, in disaster management also we can use certain mathematics concepts. So having that thing in mind can give you better perspective in the final interview, so that you can answer the interview questions with the better knowledge. So this is the additional aspect I found it. So when I used to read the concept, I used to go to the Wikipedia page of the particular concept, and I used to see the practical applications. For example, if there is a number theory, I used to see what are the applications of number theory. If I read about calculus, I used to see what are the real life applications of calculus. So it keeps you connected with the theory as well as practice, because always from the civil servants they expect the practical approach. So just knowing the theory, solving the problems in the paper, that is fine, but keep some certain practical approach also. And it is, believe me, it is really interesting when you know that whatever you are studying has higher connotations and can be used in the bigger solving the bigger problems. You always feel sense of pride is there within you. So that is regarding the interview part of the mathematics. I want to add few more things. The book list for the mathematics is mentioned by many toppers, and you can follow that book list. Apart from that, some additional things I did. One is I used to look into NPTEL videos given by the IITs. For example, I prepared my linear algebra, I prepared my linear programming problems and complex analysis from the NPTEL videos. NPTEL videos are freely available on the YouTube and on the NPTEL website of the IITs. So if you have any questions or doubts in the mathematics, you can always refer to particular video and a particular website of the NPTEL, and you can get it clarified, because many of the aspirants does not have luxury to take coaching for the mathematics, and I was one of them. I did not take coaching for the mathematics. What I prepared on my own, and whatever preparation I did was from basic standard books, and I referred to online websites such as NPTEL. Additionally, there are two good YouTube playlists for the modern algebra and real analysis. I found them very helpful for my preparation. So I will share these YouTube playlist links with the DKT team so that you can access them. Apart from that, while dealing with mathematics, don't leave any subject. For example, many aspirants leave modern algebra, statics, dynamics, and fluid dynamics subjects, but many questions are being asked from these areas, because UPSC knows that aspirants are leaving these subjects, and UPSC want to really test us on these subjects. So do not leave them. Modern algebra can be prepared really well from contemporary modern algebra by Joseph Gallian book. Statics and dynamics can be prepared well from Krishna Cherry's book, and fluid dynamics can be prepared from MD Rain Singhania book and Krishna Cherry's book. So do prepare them. If you prepare these three also very well, you will definitely have competitive edge over the other candidates. It might take time, but I think it is worth it. I prepared all the subjects. I did not leave any concept or subject, because I felt it might not be good, because every mark matters in the UPSC. Within the mark or two, ranks changes and service changes. So when the competition is high, we have to keep ourselves updated to that particular competition level. So I suggest you not to leave any concept. Please refer to the online resources and take help from the seniors and take guidance. You will definitely make it. I hope this mathematics strategy will help you to approach the mathematics more easily. And if you have any questions and queries, you can contact me on my Twitter. My Twitter ID is Pravinchand IAS. So you can contact me on my Twitter. I will respond to the direct messages. So feel to contact me. Thank you.